Students, welcome on back. We're going to continue on where we left off in the last lesson. We're still talking about equations with rational numbers. So don't write this. I'm interested to see who comes to class tomorrow with a whole new essential question. This is the same one from yesterday, so this is part 2. So yesterday and today still, our focus was solving equations with decimals and fractions. So yesterday we talked about fractions, so fractions and decimals. That means today we're talking about decimals. Decimals come up in real life situations too, and they can also be modeled by equations. So here's an example. Yeah, and don't laugh because I totally made this up. Google Play charges 95 cents per song download, while UTunes charges 55 cents per song when you join the Frequent Download Club for a $60 annual fee. How many songs must you download for the price to be the same from both websites? So we see that word same in there. That means equal. So we can write an equation. We can have one side being Google Play and the other side being UTunes. So the equation looks like this, like decimals. They're not as annoying as fractions, but they're still annoying. Why can't they just be whole numbers? Wouldn't it be nice if there was a trick to get rid of the decimals? Yes, there would. So it's very similar to what we did yesterday where we multiplied everything by the LCM. But this time, in order to get rid of the decimals, we're going to multiply by a power of 10. And then that moves the decimals, and then we can just get them on out of there. All right. So what we're going to do is first we're going to count how many place values the longest decimal goes to. And that's going to tell us what power of 10 we need. And then we're going to multiply all the terms on both sides by the power of 10. And then we will be decimal free and we can solve them as usual. All right, go ahead and pause and write this. This is still the same page we were on yesterday, right underneath example 2 with the ugly problem with the fractions in it. All right, so our steps are to, like I said in the last slide, we're going to count the decimals and the biggest decimal number. We're going to multiply by that power of 10, and then we're going to solve. All right, so let's try this out. It's my Google Play versus UTunes situation. All right, so I'm going to look at my longest decimal, so 2 place values on these guys, both of them the same length. So I think of a 1 with 2 zeros on it, so my biggest, or the power of 10 I'm going to use is 100. And step 2, I'm going to multiply 100 times both sides of the equation. So I'm going to get my giant parentheses out. I'm going to multiply by 100 on both sides. I'm going to bump it so that way I remember to multiply every single term. That's a very common mistake. All right, so when I multiply by 100, I just move the decimal twice, and that makes that 95x. Multiply by 100, move the decimal twice, that makes that 55x. But don't make the mistake a lot of people do. Don't forget to multiply this guy by 100, so I add 2 zeros on it. So it does kind of make the numbers a little bit on the big side, but oh well. All right, and then step 3, I just solve. So I'm going to move my smallest pile of x's. That would be 55x right there. I'm going to do that on both sides. That cancels out. I'm left with 40x on this side and 6,000 on this side. And then I have a one-step equation. Divide by 40 on both sides. And then I can see that x equals, zeros cancel, and I can get 150. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hey, that wasn't really any faster. Sometimes when this is an advantage is if you don't have a calculator or you can't use a calculator, because then it makes it a little easier to work with. So there you go. All right, go ahead and write this underneath the steps. And it's so nice. You guessed it, we're going to write it twice. All right, step 1, we're going to look at the longest decimal number. They're equal length, so it doesn't really matter. It's 2 place values, so that power of 10 would be 100. So go ahead and write this to the side that we're going to multiply by 100. We want it to be really clear in our example. All right, step 2 is we're going to multiply that power of 10 by all the terms on both sides. So throw your giant parentheses around. Throw 100 on the outside. Bump that bad boy so we remember, hey, we're going to multiply all the terms. Hopefully your bump it looks better than mine. And then multiplying by 100, I just move the decimal twice. I end up with negative 75p minus 200. Oops, I almost forgot to multiply that by 100. And then on the other side, I'm going to move the decimal twice, and I'm going to get 25p. All right, I'm going to move my smallest pile of p's, which is negative 75, so I'm going to plus 75p to both sides. And then I get negative 200 over there, and I get 100p on that side. All right, made a little bit more room. And then last but not least, get p by itself by dividing by 100 on both sides. Cancel that out, and I end up with negative 2 equals p, or p equals negative 2. All right, let's do one more example, shall we? So nice, we're going to write it twice. All right, now we have plenty of room. Okay, so I look at my longest decimal. Hey, they're the same again. I have one place value, so that power of 10 would be 10. So go ahead and record that over here off to the side. Step 2 is I'm going to multiply every single term on both sides by that power of 10. I'm going to bust out my giant parentheses, throw 10s on the outside. I'm going to bump it to remind me because it's real easy to forget, especially the one without the variable. And then I move the decimal once, so that would be 36w. Move the decimal once, that would be 16w. Throw 0 on the end of that, and that would be 240. And then step 3, I just solve it like I normally would. Move my smallest pile of w's to this side, remove my smallest pile of w's, and then that makes 20w on this side. Equals 240, and then last but not least, I'm going to divide by 20 on both sides, and that gives me w equals, knock those zeros out, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. So there you go. Alright, well, hopefully that seemed pretty easy to you. Grab a piece of scratch paper, try this problem out. Alright, that's it, guys. So show up tomorrow with any questions or concerns that you have and have that one problem done. Get a good night's sleep, and I'll see you in class tomorrow. Bye.